Have you ever said, I'll start tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll study. Tomorrow I'll work harder. Tomorrow I'll follow my dream. But what if tomorrow never becomes today? Today's story is about a man who spent years waiting for the perfect moment. Until one day, he discovered the truth about time. Listen carefully, improve your English, and enjoy this emotional story. The man who waited too long. In a small town lived a man named Michael. Michael was intelligent. He had wonderful ideas. He had big dreams. But there was one problem. He was always waiting. When he wanted to start a business, he said, I'll start when I have enough money. When he wanted to learn English, he said, I'll start when I have more free time. When he wanted to travel, he said, I'll go when life becomes easier. And when someone asked him about his dreams, he always gave the same answer. One day, years passed. Michael watched his friends move forward. One became a teacher. Another opened a restaurant. Another moved to another city and built a successful career. Michael was happy for them, but deep inside, he felt disappointed with himself. One evening, he sat outside his house and looked at an old photograph. It was a picture of him and his childhood friend, James. In the photograph, they were both young. On the back of the photograph, they had written their dreams. James had written, I want to become a writer. Michael had written, I want to start my own business. Michael smiled sadly. James had already published 3 books, and Michael? He was still waiting. The next morning, Michael decided to visit James. When he arrived at James's house, he saw books everywhere. Michael picked one up. You actually did it? He said. James smiled. I did. Michael looked at him. How? James laughed. I didn't wait for the perfect time. I started with what I had. Michael became quiet. But weren't you afraid? Of course, James replied. I was afraid almost every day. But I learned something. What? James looked at his old friend. You don't need to feel ready before you begin. Sometimes you become ready because you begin. Those words stayed with Michael. That night, he went home and opened an old notebook. He wrote one sentence. What am I waiting for? He stared at the question for several minutes. Then he realized he had been waiting for confidence, waiting for money, waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for life to become easier. But life had never promised him a perfect moment. So Michael made a small decision. He would stop waiting. The next morning, he woke up early. He spent 30 minutes learning English. Then he watched a lesson about starting a small business. The next day, he learned something new. The day after that, he learned something else. His progress was tiny. Sometimes he made mistakes. Sometimes he felt tired. Sometimes he wanted to quit. But he continued. One day at a time. 6 months later, Michael had created his first small online business. It wasn't perfect. He didn't earn much money, but something important had changed. For the first time, he was moving. He wasn't waiting anymore. He was learning. He was growing. He was taking action. And slowly, his confidence began to grow with him. 2 years later, Michael's business became successful. One evening, he returned to the same place where he had once sat looking at the old photograph. He took it from his pocket. He looked at the younger version of himself. Then he smiled. If only I had started earlier, he whispered. But then he stopped. he realized something. Regretting the past wouldn't give him another day. The only thing he could control was what he did next. Years later, Michael often spoke to young people about his journey. One student asked him, "What's the biggest mistake you made in life?" Michael thought for a moment. Then he answered, "I spent too much time waiting to become ready." The student asked, "And what's the biggest lesson you learned?" Michael smiled. "Start before you're ready. Take one small step. Learn from your mistakes. Improve tomorrow. Because a small step today is better than a perfect plan that never begins." Moral of the story: don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment may never come. Start with what you have. Start where you are. Start today. Because your future is not created by what you plan to do someday. It is created by what you choose to do today.